So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for sticking it out. As Rob said, it's the kind of last one other than Snapchat. So what I'm going to kind of talk to you about today is a couple of cross sections in social, but obviously with a specific look at paid social. In terms of instructions, like Rob said, I head up paid social at iProspect, just down the road at Portland Street. Kind of legacy has been in SEO, then paid search, and now in social. I very much come from an investment background, so I will be focusing on on how to win within the paid space. So don't boo at me for any content people or anything like that. So just to kind of kick us off, if you kindly raise your hand if you've got a Facebook account, personal one. Keep your hand up if you have a Twitter account. Same with Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Snapchat, Tumblr. Okay, cool. So, as you've probably noticed kind of around the room, quite a few people had their hands up for multiple platforms, and that's kind of what I feel that I do as well. So, but I use them for kind of different things, and this is a bit of a snapshot of me. I got married 1 year ago last week. Still married now, which is great. And during that point in my life, I used Pinterest as what they kind of coin it as a catalogue of ideas. And that kind of platform is really, really useful for those kind of moments in life. I'm about to use it again because we're about to move house. And we're also expecting a baby in January, so I'm sure I'll be using it kind of October, November time. In terms of Facebook and Instagram, I kind of capture my moments, kind of snapshots of me, of my moments in time, whether or not I've gone out for something to eat, or I've gone to a particular place, or I've gone on holiday with this lovely tan with this white t-shirt on today. I go to Twitter for my news now. I don't go to BBC News, I don't go to Sky Sports. I go to Twitter. If anything that has kind of sparked my interest, I immediately go to there to find out the latest news. And I use Snapchat for the time being, a bit of a fun, looked cool in front of my nieces and nephews. But I also started using the kind of publications page on that, which is really neat actually. If you go onto some of the publications that they do, like Sky Sports and stuff, and you follow a team, they kind of show you all the goals and stuff in real kind of 5-6 second videos, which is really cool. And then LinkedIn finally, just to make me look a little bit professional. And kind of the point in that is that social is kind of the glue that kind of holds us together. I don't necessarily evolve around social, but I'm kind of plugged into social at all points in time. And this for advertisers and brands gives us an incredible opportunity because I am on one of those platforms a number of times a day, which presents an incredible opportunity. However, what we're starting to see nowadays, and what I'm starting to see in kind of my remit, is that you're starting to having to pay for that privilege. And we kind of cast the net out to a number of our clients at iProspect, and we saw an average of around 3 to 6% on an average organic reach benchmark. Now, there are instances, kind of set aside some of the large campaigns which do incredibly well. If anyone was at the Misguided presentation yesterday, they obviously did an incredible job on kind of an organic point of view, but kind of put that aside for the time being. And actually, to kind of articulate this, what I've got on the screen is an example of a real piece of content from one of our clients. Along the blue, you'll be able to see the reach that it organically achieved. And then between us, not a huge amount paid at all, we were able to reach near 500,000 people more on a daily basis, which really proves that actually if you put a little bit of spend behind it, then you're able to actually reach the audience that you want to actually attain. There's no point in producing great content if no one's going to see it. And we've seen this in the industry. So the stat I want to kind of call out here is 46% of all display advertising is now being served in a social environment, which is massive. That's huge. And this has kind of crept up on us a little bit. Although if you kind of look at the chart from the IAB there, it's been on an upward trajectory for a long period of time now. And it's social and paid social, and specifically, has become incredibly prevalent for advertisers and brands to actually talk to their customers. We've seen a slight decline in banner ads. IAB said this, and the growth has come from native video, in-feed, and and content as well. So where does this lead us? So this leads us to paid social. But paid social is kind of solving some of the biggest headaches that we as digital advertisers have today. The first one is viewability. So the display market is being put under a huge amount of pressure to deliver viewable and addressable impressions. And social kind of overcomes this in a sense, because a lot of the adverts, if not most of the adverts on social, are sandwiched in between content between someone that you follow and another person that you follow, or a brand that you follow. So they're kind of these ad speed bumps that you need to get over to get to the next piece of content, which in essence kind of makes them 100% viewable, because you've got to get past them to get to the next piece of content. Second one is native. People are, not just us in the room and not just us as digital marketers, are becoming more savvy to bad ads. And they want to see something that is not intrusive in the environment that they're in at that particular point in time. And every single ad on a social platform is native to the content that you will see from a brand that you follow, or your best friend, or your girlfriend, or whatever. And then kind of second point to that is ad blockers. So ad blockers have kind of reared its head a little bit more so over the last 12 months. But if you think about the consumption of social, namely Facebook, the majority of that consumption is on mobile, and the majority of that consumption is in-app on mobile. And you actually can't put ad blockers on mobile, on in-app Facebook. The kind of governance around ad blockers there is, if you don't like an ad, you can kind of click on the ad, say you don't like this ad, and you won't see that brand anymore. So that gives the user a really great experience. And mobile's a really obvious one. Mobile Google have talked about the year of mobile for years now, and actually Facebook and alike are a mobile first company. So they're kind of ahead of the steam with kind of moving into that space. And then people, you probably will have seen like YouTube adopt this type of tracking, so people-based marketing. But if we kind of backtrack steps of history, Facebook have been the godfather of people-based marketing, and people are starting to actually take notice and actually employ this type of tracking across their customers. So that's kind of the scene setting. What I'd like to do is take you through a couple of concepts of what we kind of employ on with our clients when running paid social campaigns or thinking about social campaigns. And they kind of fall into three areas. First one is audience, second one is creative, and third one is working with other channels, so not working in silo. And then at the very end, we'll have a look at kind of what's next. So first one, audience. So targeting the segment of one. So the kind of silver bullet to every digital marketer. So the reach across all of the social media platforms is unrivaled. And this reach is engaged reach as well, because these people are coming to these platforms every single day, a number of times a day. I think the latest stat from Facebook is 14 times a day. If you have Snapchat, the average is 18 times a day. So these people are constantly coming back to these platforms. And so what we do have as advertisers is that when people are on these platforms and engaging, that is kind of their primary screen. And they are engaged, which presents a huge opportunity for us. It's come out a little bit funny there, but something that we need to understand as well is that we should be planning audience first as opposed to platform first. So the kind of thing with social is that everyone's got an opinion. I mean, you go back to 10 minutes ago when we were all putting our hands up, we're all on Facebook, we're all on Instagram, we're all on Twitter, we've all got our personal opinions of these platforms. And that actually might detract away from your strategy for your clients or for yourselves as brands. And what is really important to know is that actually when you have two platforms, there is, of course, a crossover, like myself and many in the audience, but there are also unique audiences within each of those platforms. So actually, when you are planning a strategic campaign, if you plump for one particular platform, you could actually be missing out on a whole unique audience on another platform. So again, audience first, not platform first. And at iProspect, we've kind of got 5 key principles around targeting an audience. None of these will probably be a surprise. First one is first-party data. So data that you own, so that's kind of email addresses, contact details, and details of a particular purchase from that person. Second-party data, so data that we all give the likes of Facebook indirectly. So if I like a particular post, I'm telling Facebook that I'm interested in that particular category. Therefore, Facebook are then giving that to me and you as brands to then go out and target those people. Third-party data, which is a really interesting one. So I'll go into this in a little bit more detail in a couple of slides. But this is data used from offline sources. So Oracle, Experian, and Axiom. So this is all retrieved from the likes of YouGov data, Visa card debit data, and things like that, which we are able to stitch together with online data to create an identity. And then site visitors, pixels, so behavior on website, so that we can obviously retarget people and take people through the entire consumer journey. And then the locale, so the proximity of your customers. So the two I want to kind of delve into is first-party data and third-party data. First one is first-party data. So we truly believe that if you've got a clean data set and you've got data on your customers, that's the first place that you should start. Now, apologies if many of you know this already, but in terms of using that data, we're able to take a consumer type data and then match that with IDs within Facebook. So we can actually find our customers on a platform like Facebook. We can then talk to those people differently to our non-customers. So we can either offer them discount messages on second purchases, we can offer them kind of loyalty points, or actually we can exclude them. If our interest is going after new customers, we can exclude them so they don't see any advertising. And then kind of secondary to that is finding lookalikes. So finding people that are similar to your customers. So the example on screen now is, for example, if we find customers, our customers on Facebook, we can then go out and find the next 1% of the UK population that share the same characteristics of those customers. And then you can broaden that out, 2%, 3%, etc. So this is really good for building your audience and actually building new customers. Second kind of targeting method that we want to hone in on is a third-party data. And as I mentioned before, what we've got on screen here is all the online behavior and interest that we know of our customers. And then on your right is data from Oracle. And what we can quickly find out is a lot about this person. So for example, this lady on screen now, she's married, she's got 2 kids. She loves photography, and that's great, and that would probably stand up as a decent campaign. However, if you start baking in the likes of, you know that she drives a Honda, she shops at a luxury retailer, she is an organic product buyer, then that really enriches your data, and you can get to the point of targeting segments of one. So they're kind of 2 key things that we would absolutely recommend of looking at first-party and third-party data. Just a quick example with French Connection. We run paid search French Connection, but as some of you may or may not know, the likes of non-brand remit is becoming more and more expensive in Google. So there are needs for new avenues, and paid social was one of them. So what we did was we took their data, we created lookalikes, we also took profiling data, and we used likes of Experian to actually attain a core audience for French Connection, and we actually, we are still driving a lot higher percentage than, or a lot higher ROI than non-brand search. Higher average order value, higher conversion, and more frequency in purchase. So 3 key things to take away from audience. All platforms are equal. So don't be dictated by the platform that you favor at that particular point. Use the data that you already have. So if you've got clean segmented data on your customers, have that as a starting point. If you don't have that, take one step back and get that and use that as a starting point. And then third one is link offline data with online. I was chatting to someone yesterday and they were unaware that you could use likes of Oracle and Experian data within Facebook, which is a missed opportunity. So this is something that we could absolutely recommend. So second, looking at creative. So when you find your audience, that's brilliant. But if you show them an ad which is garbage, then all that work it's pointless. So there are some fundamental things that you need to think about within creative. The first one is, this is a study done by Microsoft and Statistic Brain a while ago, where they've kind of concluded that a human's attention span is 8 seconds, which is 1 second less than a goldfish, apparently. So, I mean, you can take these stats how you want it, but the point is you need to capture attention quickly. And actually, when you start thinking about the way that social video is being measured in terms of 3-second views, 10-second views, this starts to make sense. Because there are still a huge amount of, or big proportion of the industry that don't believe in 3-second views, don't believe in 10-second views. But actually, if we're dealing with people who are only interested for 8 seconds on an average, the 3-second views is 30% of your ad, 10-second views is 100% of your ad. So this is really important. You need to capture attention quickly. And the device that you need to capture attention on is a mobile device. So if you look at all the devices that you consume media on, TV, laptop, desktop, iPad, tablet, mobile's a smaller screen. So you've got 2 challenges already. You've got people who move on from content very, very quickly, and you're actually trying to capture them on the smallest screen possible for an advertiser. However, this is incredibly important because 80% of social is being served on a mobile device, which probably doesn't surprise anyone. So, kind of taking those kind of 2 factors into account, it's not rendering correctly, but this is a campaign that we ran with Simply Be, part of the M. Brown Group, whereby we run all of their above the line activity, and we do that for a number of accounts. And we are fully integrated. Paid social is fully integrated into the AV stack, which is audio visual, whereby we extend the reach of television. And so in this particular example, there was a big broadcast campaign for spring, summer. And you know what, hands up, in the past, 12 months ago, we were as much a victim as most in the industry, where we'd plaster kind of your TV ad onto social. And that was kind of job good, because actually there wasn't that much science behind actually bespoking your creative for environments like Facebook or small screens like mobile. But in this particular example, we actually worked with Facebook incredibly closely to create a storyboard, literally from this TV asset, and created a bespoke version for Facebook. I can't necessarily share the results with you, but this flew out the door. It was incredible results, especially when we kind of compared them to previous kind of video campaigns for this particular client. And the kind of third point as well is movement, is video. So everyone talks about video now, but I think it's really important to actually capture within your creative. So again, you've got people who aren't paying too much attention or can be easily distracted. They've got the device, which is smaller than the devices that you have option to advertise on. And then what you need to do is share movement. So this is directly from Twitter, whereby they've found that actually videos are 6 times more likely to be shared than an image, and 3 times more likely to be shared than a GIF. So you can kind of see the stages there, can't you, in terms of image, GIF, video. So actually, above everything as well. People are wanting to engage and actually share this with their own communities. So we truly believe that video, or at least movements, should be the backbone of everyone's communication. And this kind of distills into all the social platforms. I know that I've spoke about Facebook a little bit, but actually if you cast your eye over just some of the formats across some of the main social platforms, all of the ads are very quick, snappy. They're all built for mobile, and they've all got movement. So this is kind of an industry-wide thing. I think social have been able to actually buck the trend in terms of ad formats, and they've innovated that particular market. But there's kind of three key things that we want to take away. If I can get the clicker working. So first one, capture attention quickly. Second one, build for mobile. There will be other placements that you will need to place your advertising in, but if you build for mobile, you are 90% there. And create with movement. So static images serve their purpose for the likes of retargeting, product retargeting, things like that, but the greatest results that we see from majority of prospecting and broadcast type campaigns have got movement video in. So, third one, just kind of the final section. How social integrates with some of the other media that you might be buying. So firstly, a little quote from Steve Jobs, just because I'm a bit of a Steve Jobs fanboy anyway, but people don't know what they want until you show them. Some people agree with this, some people disagree, some people are in the middle. I'm kind of in the middle. What social is, it's a platform that you're constantly plugged into, and it's something that you actually find out information. And we're kind of tuned into, if we find something that we're interested in, we go and search for it. We want to know a little bit more about it, and more times than not, our default is going to Google. So what we found is when we actually pair our social campaigns with our search campaigns, when working with some tech partners over the last few years, is that we see a huge halo effect from our social activity on our search activity. And just a couple of stats on the board there. So 50% increase in search CTR from social campaigns. People with nearly 3 times more likely to search a brand during a social campaign. And also 11 percentage point uplift in brand searches when running a social media campaign. So there is a huge halo effect there, and if you don't keep an eye on it, then you are going to misjudge your results, specifically for social. Kind of second one, which is almost other end of the spectrum, is actually a companion to TV. So we truly believe that social is the perfect partner for broadcast. Many people are talking in the industry that it's going to replace it. We don't see it as a replacement, we see it as a companion. And just a stat from AT&T, nearly 90% of people who watch TV are on the mobile devices, and 8 out of 10 of those people, near 9 out of 10, are on social when doing so. So again, there's a huge opportunity, because actually, we talk about the second screen, but like I mentioned before, that mobile device on social becomes the first screen. That's the one that you're intently looking at. That's the one that your eyes don't deviate from. And therefore, that becomes an incredible extension of your TV campaign, especially during ad breaks and things like that. This is a study done by Kantar, and this is kind of available. But we've done them also with some clients on Nielsen. I can send around a link later if anyone's interested, whereby they did a study of TV-only ads, Facebook-only ads on certain portions of the population. And there was an obvious expectation of an uplift when combining TV with social, but that uplift was more dramatic than the hypotheses. So what they found in this particular brand was that 30% or 29%, there was an uplift of that in the likelihood of people purchasing a product when TV and Facebook was combined. And this is just a quick example of how we've used it for one of our clients, Thomas Cook. So during Peak's campaign, which is kind of back end of December through to February. They have a launch of a large broadcast campaign, and we were able to extend that reach. And what we found after the campaign was we had a 60% uplift in brand recall, and we actually gained incremental reach as well. So reach that TV wouldn't have otherwise actually attained. So it was incredible results for us. So final one on kind of 3 key stats for working with the channels. So understand the impact on DR channels. So that doesn't just sit with search, it also sits with the likes of affiliates and things like that. Measure holistically. So if you do have the opportunity to work with a partner such as Abacus, Visual IQ, people like that, do so, because they are able to actually look at your measurements across platform accurately. And then social being grading and all planning. So there kind of comes a point where you need to kind of take the connotations of social away and think about it as a medium, depending on whether you want to sell things or you want to have increase in brand awareness. It shouldn't be treated as a silo channel. So they're kind of tips for campaigns and some of the work that we've done with our clients. And over the next couple of slides, just some kind of, not necessarily predictions, but things to continue to kind of keep your finger on the pulse with. They're not massive kind of future gazing things, because the reality is we can kind of talk for hours around where social is going to go. But these, I believe, are the kind of important things that we should be focusing on. So first one, social will lead the line with innovation. I think Snapchat's done an incredible job within the market. I think every story that you will read around Snapchat and Facebook is kind of that trade-off or that kind of copying. However, if you look at it from a brand point of view or an advertiser point of view, this is incredible for the industry. If you've got different platforms trying to be the most innovative, that allows us additional options to actually target our customers. And I truly believe that, like Snapchat, gave the industry a shot of adrenaline with the likes of lenses and filters and things like that. So actually this is really good, and I mean, I'll let Snapchat talk about Snapchat, but their kind of USP is this now, and they will need to continue to innovate. Otherwise, people will get bored and they will fall off. And that's not specific to Snapchat. That's kind of all social. So an incentive for all social platforms is to continue to innovate in ad formats. Second one is social platforms will continue to innovate in platform. So has anyone used lead ads in Facebook? Roughly good success? Yeah. So we've seen great success with lead ads in Facebook. And if you haven't used them before, if you kind of don't know what they are, basically, because you've already given your information to Facebook when you've logged in, your email address, sometimes your telephone number, your name, this is an ad format whereby click a button, all that information pre-populates. Click another button, and it fires off to the advertiser, and you're still in the Facebook platform. We've used this across most of our clients, whether it be newsletter sign-ups, brochure information, or kind of leads for consultations and things like that. We've seen it work incredibly well. And actually, it's not just a great lead driver, it's also really quality leads as well. So the majority of the leads that we're getting through are really quality. So as a general consensus, this will continue to happen. Social platforms will want people to stay in their platform. Therefore, they will need to come up with more innovative adverts like this that allow us as consumers to stay in platform and then move on to continue kind of our browsing in the social media platform. Third one, social continues to focus on video, including live. So people are now going to social to watch events. This was Adele on tour. As opposed to kind of sat in front of a TV and tweeting about the event, if you actually go to a social platform, you are immediately joined in the conversation. So actually, people are now going to social media platforms to watch an event and also actually engage in a conversation. And you'll probably see more and more kind of partnerships happen. So Twitter has recently partnered with some sports governments and things like that to show live sports, and that will continue to happen, which again allows us to actually tap into that audience and present a message. So in this particular example, Starbucks in America. And social will place more emphasis on chatbots and messenger services. So not necessarily just talking about Messenger as in Facebook, but actual just messenger services. You probably all read recently that Facebook has released a new placement in Messenger, kind of on the forefront, not actually in the conversation, which is just another step into an additional placement on the platforms that the likes of Facebook own. And that will continue. Kind of final one from Sure, I don't know if anyone's actually seen this emoji tracker. Has anyone seen it? No? So this is quite cool, actually. I can send across the link, but this is a live tracker of all the emojis being used on Twitter at this very point in time. So as you would imagine, it's kind of the laughing face is the most used, but what this kind of indicates is how people are communicating, so not just through text, actually now in the public domain. So this will continue to be the way that we communicate, and things like Twitter have brought out emoji targeting and things like that. So final couple of slides, just fast forward a little bit. So when we look at the market, we look at other social platforms that have kind of dominated, and if you kind of look across the other side of the world to Japan with Line and China with WeChat, what they've actually, and granted, it's different markets, very different to the European market. However, there's a couple of platforms where people go to do everything. So, for example, we've got Line. You can chat to your friends, you can pay for your food, you can listen to your music, you can order a taxi like Uber, but it's all in one platform. And I guess this is not a prediction, but almost a kind of where things might go. But if we were to ever enter that type of market, if you have a look on kind of the left-hand side here, on the upward trajectory of certain platforms, you've got Facebook, WhatsApp, Messenger, and Instagram, all owned by Facebook. So if there was ever a leap to actually move into kind of a WeChat Line type of market within Europe, then it's going to be Facebook, I think. I don't think we're quite there yet, because actually if we rewind all the way to the start of the presentation, we use different platforms to do different things. Now, I think that the next larger challenge, and it's just me, is to actually move all of my needs, all of my wants, everything that I go to social to do into one platform. And that's a big, big challenge for someone like Facebook. And just to kind of finally leave you on a final thought, paid social will continue to transform the advertising world. As I said before, top of the presentation, I've moved over from SEO to paid search to paid social. And this is an incredibly exciting remit to be in. It's very, very fast-paced. There's something happening every single day. And I truly believe with the ad formats that a lot of the publishers are creating now are the most innovative in the digital market, and that will only continue. So thank you.
Bang on time. Bang on time. That's probably the first time in the last 2 days that we've been bang on time. Any questions for Alex?
Thank you. Hi, Alex. I was just interested in about that identity that you brought up of a woman, where you stitched together offline data with, I suppose it's data that I'd already own, or yeah. How do you do that? Could you tell us a bit more about that?
So we are able, so that example specifically was Oracle. They were formerly Datalogic, so I don't know if you've heard of that company, but they're a data company that work directly with likes of Facebook. So just quick, have you used the third-party data within Facebook before?
No, I've tried audience matching in LinkedIn.
So it's fairly simple actually. So if you go onto your Facebook targeting for any particular campaign, There will be an option to look at Facebook partners. One of them will be Experian, Oracle, and Axiom. You might actually need to be whitelisted potentially. But what you're able to do is, or what those companies are able to do is kind of stitch together an identity or an ID of a particular person on Facebook. So for example, the data that they collect is from likes of DVLA, so they know what, and when I work with, or when I kind of sign up to DVLA, I give them my email address or an ID or something like that. If I go into purchase offline a product, I could use my Visa debit card. That Visa debit card is connected to me, so it'll probably be my email address. So not necessarily. So there are different identities. We can probably talk about the third-party data in depth, but they are companies that we work with directly, whereby actually we can give them signals of a particular user. So, for example, if you have your customer database, we can work with the likes of Oracle to actually find different characteristics within that database. So, if they've purchased a particular product, the frequency of product, the average order value of product, where they purchased it, what kind of season they purchased it, and then they can actually create a bespoke audience, which then can be attached to the online data, which you can use within Facebook. It's quite a complex kind of way of doing it, and I've probably done it disservice when talking about it, but it's probably best to kind of chat to the likes of Experian and Oracle on that.
Any more questions for Alex? One more at the back. We'll have one more and then we'll answer.
Hi, Alex. You mentioned before about users being on their phone at the same time as watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to actually real-time target ads to what people are watching?
So there is TV targeting on Twitter, which we've used for clients like Halfords and people like that, which has worked incredibly well. Facebook, it's a little bit more difficult. But I guess one of the reasons why we're able to actually kind of connect the dots a lot of the time is because we tend to work with above the line teams, like our TV team. So we know kind of all the spot times and things like that. There is certain targeting within likes of Snapchat and Facebook, but some of it's arbitrary and some of it is, so for example, you don't know if someone's going to be on their phone at 9:05 while watching a particular program. But there are certain things that we can potentially do. The kind of closest to it is probably TV targeting within Twitter. Yeah.
Okay, another round of applause for Alex. Thank you very much, Alex.